Thank you so much for coming. My name's Izzy. I work as a community lead at Wiser Elite. This is Wiser HQ. Welcome if you haven't been. It's so amazing to see so many new faces, but also some old faces that we haven't seen in a bit. So thank you for coming and supporting our Making Moves community and International Women's Day. Woo woo! So, got these two lovely hostesses next to me, and I'd love for them to give a quick intro. Go there.
Hi everyone, I'm Mel. I help Izzy and Noosh with Making Moves, but I'm a recruiter, as you can probably tell, and I recruit account execs here at Wiser. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, cool. Pretty much the same, also a recruiter here at Wiser, but I'm on the SDR team, so helping companies grow their SDR teams, and work very closely with Izzy, Mel, and also Lucy over there. And yeah, on the Making Moves community.
Thank you. Woo! And also big cheers and round of applause to all of our hosts that we've got here tonight with us. Do you guys want to stand up? Woo! Go on, stand up. Hey! These amazing ladies, if you have any questions, if you want some advice on how to get part of the community a bit more, then please do ask them. Otherwise, you've got cards all on your chairs. There's a QR code for you, firstly, to connect with all of our amazing panelists, but also to join the Making Moves community. We'd love to see you there. But tonight, this is all around finding your voice. So we thought it was a really important event to have women have that confidence to be able to own a room, speak up, and show the men what women can say, right? So we want people to feel really, really comfortable and confident this evening, but we thought it would be a lovely way of bringing a couple of women to come and tell their stories to you tonight. So unfortunately, Bridget has had an incident, a family issue that she has to not attend this evening, but we've got the amazing Melanie from Caxton. And Desiree, who is an Olympic GB athlete, but also turned recruiter with Wiser Elite, helping with our Elite Elevation program. So how tonight's going to work is they're going to come up, speak for about 10-15 minutes about something that they're proud of, their story. Then we're going to have 5 minutes of questions afterwards, so please do save that for after the end of each person's talk. And then afterwards we'll do a quick 10-15 minute break, grab some more food. We absolutely love that everybody's eating all the platters. When the men come, they don't eat anything, so thank you for being hungry. And then we'll come back and do some public speaking. It's completely optional. If you have volunteered to speak, and you don't want to, you don't have to. If you haven't volunteered and you'd like to speak, please do come up. We'll try and get through as many people as possible. Literally just be 2 minutes about something you're proud of, and then at the end of that session, we'll do like a group feedback on what everyone can do as a collective to, I guess, level up their public speaking and have more confidence. Sound good? Awesome. Yeah. Amazing. Last thing before everybody goes, just before people might run off after the event, is we've got a Making Movements Insights Pack. So this is to understand the gender disparity in the industry between men and women. We're focusing on salaries, progression, maternity, paternity, also periods at work, how you feel comfortable to bring your full selves to work. They do close this Sunday, so please do fill this in. Also get the men in your company, encourage them to fill this in, because we want to try and get a real good understanding of the industry. But I'll be sending an email out later, and yeah, thank you so much. So Desiree, over to you.
Excellent. Good evening, everyone. My name is Desiree, or Des. I am a European world and Olympic medalist in the sport of athletics. Thank you, guys. It feels very formal sitting down. At some point, I may just stand up also. But because I'm going to be spending some time with you guys today, I would like to reintroduce myself. Those are things that I have accomplished, such as going to the Olympics. But as time has gone on, I've realized that I am more than an athlete. So I am Desiree, the daughter. I have amazing parents. My mother and father are from Antigua and Guyana, so that's South America and the Caribbean. Yes, gotta represent. And they've just been the most supportive parents when it comes to me wanting to be an athlete, me coming to them very, very early on and just saying that this is something that I'm passionate about. And whenever I hear some of the stories of other young female athletes or young athletes in general, sometimes the parents can, kind of give that pushback, but along my journey, my parents have literally been my number one supporters. I am also a sister. I have 3 older sisters. I'm the youngest, the baby, yes, 100%. And my sisters, they're just amazing. And I say that they're amazing now because realistically, growing up with 4 women in a household, that's a lot of hormones, emotions, all that kind of stuff. But as time has gone on, me and my sisters have become so close to the point where a couple of them, I would say, are my best friends. The other ones, yeah, they're just live their own life kind of thing. And I feel like I've saved the best till last. I am also a dog mum, okay? Yes, I am the proud dog mum to a little dachshund, also known as a sausage dog, and his name is Henry. So it also means that his first and last name is Henry, and yeah, based off of my last name. But these are things that I like to mention because as I speak with you guys today and I talk about my accomplishments such as going to the Olympics and all that kind of stuff, I don't want there to be a disconnect of, okay, well, who is this girl? I want you guys to look at me as Desiree, the sister, the friend, the person in this room that we have so many different things in common. So I mentioned to you guys that I am a younger sister, and I feel like that's important for me to mention because it was a major part of who I am today. If any of you guys have got siblings, I would like to say that I was that annoying sibling that wanted to wear all of my sister's clothes, literally do absolutely everything that they wanted to do because I just thought, wow, like they're so much older, they can go out, they can do X, Y, and Z. And I was just very, very lucky and fortunate enough for the fact that one of my sisters did athletics. And I would remember going to all of these competitions and just seeing her win, command, the whole arena. She became a popular girl just from winning all of her races. And I would just kind of stand on the start line or the sideline, just think, oh my goodness, that's my sister. It's a proud moment. But then it also made me think, I want to be like her. So I would say it was at a very young age, I had a female role model, and that was my sister. And as time went on, I'm gonna be real, life happens, and my sister got much older, I'm talking in secondary school. She decided that athletics wasn't the sport for her. She was more interested in boys, in all these other stuff, which is completely fine. It's all about growing up and finding yourself. But for me, by the time I went to secondary school, because of how successful my sister was, there was that thing of, oh, well, this is possibly a miniature version of my older sister. Is this girl any good at athletics? And I think from that, my PE teachers would kind of hound and support me going into athletics because they kind of thought, if I could be even as a percentage good as my sister, I've got a chance. So I would say when it came to secondary school, when I think back at PE lessons, I was probably again that annoying girl that was just like, come on guys, it's PE, let's go, and of course there's a lot of people that are just like, I've got period cramps, I've got headaches, and I'm just like, no, it's gonna be okay, exercise helps, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I just found that sport was an environment and a place where I could be myself and feel alive and feel good. So as time went on, I was at the age of 15 now, I got the opportunity of a lifetime, which for me kind of changed my whole life. I got to represent Great Britain in 2015 at the World Youth Championships. And for me, that was my first competition, racing against girls that not only had a passion for athletics just like I did, they could run as fast as me. They had even more unique background stories. And for me, it was kind of intimidating because I was so used to growing up being the only one that was excited about sport, running and winning all of these races, to now be up against girls that are just as talented. It's scary. But it's that whole thing of self-belief. I'm sure you've heard Rihanna say, fake it till you make it. And it's just a case of when I did go to that championship, although I wasn't ranked the best or anything like that, I just believed that I wanted to come away with that gold, that I wanted to win. And so the final now comes of the 200 meters, one of the events that I competed in. And I just remember the gun going off and everything going blank. And that was a scary feeling because in a sprint race, yes, it goes very, very fast, but at the same time, you want to be aware of where you are, especially running around the track. And so having that blackout and then suddenly lights flashing as I'm crossing the line and realizing that I've crossed the line in first place, it was a sense of elation, excitement, and at that age of 15, I became a world youth champion. And I would say from 15, naturally, once you've achieved a goal, you think, okay, what's next? What's going to happen? So at 15, I realized that the 2012 Olympics were coming to London. We were hosting. But I also realized that I would be too young to stand a chance of making the team realistically. So in my head, I thought when London, the 2012 Olympics come about, I'm going to go and watch. I'm going to go and get inspired by some of these young people and, you know, all these people that I aspire to, and hopefully make the next one. And in my head, I thought, okay, the next 4 years, that's all I'm going to worry about, just making sure that I can make the next Olympics. But in 2012, when the Olympics did come to London, I got a call, well, my mum got a call, and it was, the person didn't disclose who they were. They were just saying that we would like Desiree to come down to the Olympic Stadium for an opportunity that I don't think that you should miss. And bear in mind, the Olympics hadn't begun just yet. And I remember the Olympic Stadium was being built. And if anything, it just kind of felt like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because it's just like, you see all the construction, but no one's actually gone inside as yet. So for me to now be invited at this stage, I thought, what on earth is going on? Again, I know that I'm too young to compete at this championship. What on earth would they want me for? So now I'm being picked up in this black car. The driver's not saying anything. You know, me and my mum are asking questions. Okay, where are we going? And then me and my mum are kind of joking that, okay, even if we are about to be kidnapped, at least we're together. And so we reached the location, and I remember seeing 6 other young kids just like me, and we're all now trying to figure out, okay, did they give you more information than they gave us? But none of us kind of knew what on earth was going on. About an hour had gone by, and then this man came over, huddled us into a circle, and he was like, I've got this vision and dream that for the for the opening ceremony of the 2012 Olympics, we want you 7 to be the ones to light the cauldron. And we were just like, come again? Are you sure? Like us? Like, are you sure? And he was just like, yes, because in 2012, the slogan was inspire a generation. And what's a better way to inspire a generation, given that you guys are young in your respective fields doing great things? The next generation are going to look at that and be inspired and hopefully go on to great things. And so all I can say is the next, I would say, few days, everything was extremely crazy because we had to go for fittings. Again, that we had to sign a non-disclosure agreement at that time, which is why I can talk about it with you guys now. But at that time, yes, I couldn't tell my sisters, I couldn't tell my dad. You know, there was many secrets that was going on, and everything was revealed the night of the opening ceremony, where, you know, we also realized, wow, the Queen is in the stadium, you know, we've got presidents watching, you know, we are now being given the opportunity of a lifetime to not only be in the stadium with these athletes, but being given the honor of lighting the cauldron. You know, people like Muhammad Ali lit the cauldron. I thought, I'm up there with him now. Like, this is incredible. And so I think for me, after the London 2012 Olympics happened, I thought, come the next Olympics, I've got to make it. I can't have, you know, if anyone believes in signs, I just felt like I'm receiving too many signs for me to not take this seriously and see what can happen in the next few years. So the next 4 years, I put my head down. When it came to parties, they were non-existent. Even for my own birthdays, I would happily train, I would happily stretch. I was making multiple sacrifices because I'm sure, like you, when you've got something in mind, you're willing to do absolutely anything that you can in order to achieve it. Long story short, I made the Olympic team. Thank you. But that's where the journey, I can't even say it ended, because when I made the Olympic team, I made it with other young girls that were just as happy to make their first Olympics. And it was a case of, do you know what? If we all collectively come together, there is a chance that not only is this our first Olympics, but the fact that we could actually come away with a medal. So this is now, I'm talking about the 4x100 meter relay. This is where 4 girls have to now run 100 meters each of a track and pass the baton, and ultimately whoever passes the baton the quickest and in first place gets the gold, then silver, then bronze. At this point, Olympic champions had been given in the 100 and 200 meters. The relays are now like the last events. And so we're all in the final. I remember standing there, the announcer has said in lane 4, it's Great Britain. And I was like, yeah, cheering. And then I was like, wait, I'm technically Great Britain, like they're cheering for me. And I remember just looking to my left and to my right, and I'm seeing the newly crowned Olympic champions, people that I've had on vision boards when I was a kid. I'm now lined up with them, and it is kind of like okay, I want to go home kind of moment. But then instantly, once I just realized where I was, I went from I want to go home to it's go time. Like, let's do this. Like, you have to, or I hounded in on all those years of hard work. I remember the sacrifice, all that kind of stuff. I thought, if there's only ever a moment for things to go well, it's got to be in this moment. Now, I have to tell you, with Great Britain, we don't have the best history when it comes to the relay because, people drop the baton. People are running very, very fast, like, to put it simply. And little thoughts like that did creep into my mind, but then I also thought, I'm in a new generation. Our relays, especially in the build up to this Olympics, have gone very, very, very smoothly. Like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to turn a new leaf. And then especially with my leg, on second leg, it means that I have two jobs. Not only do I have to receive the baton, I then have to pass over the baton to someone else. So there's that anticipation. The gun's gone off. I'm seeing my incoming training partner, Asha, come and run towards me. I've received the baton. Now I'm just thinking, run for your life. Like, run ultimately as fast as you can. I've now passed the baton to my other teammate, Dina Asher-Smith. Now she's running around the third leg. And I have to say, with the relay, what's very, very scary is at that moment I realized the future of whatever outcome we have is now in the hands of other people. So you just hope that they're also not thinking, oh my goodness, Great Britain have dropped the relay in the past. You're hoping that they're feeling confident of, no, I'm going to go out and do an amazing job. And I was so happy to see that come the last leg runner, Daryl Nita, she crossed the line in third place. So then that meant that we had become Olympic bronze medalists. Thank you. And I have to say, I was the only one I still can't understand to this day, but I started bursting out crying. It was just that feeling of excitement, emotions, and it was I really did it kind of thing. And I'm sure whenever you're creating goals, especially large goals that not everyone can understand, it can be kind of hard to talk about them with other people. But for me, I always remained in my head, not only do I want to go to Olympics, one day I want to get an Olympic medal. And for those two things to be achieved as a result of hard work and consistency over those years, it was an emotional moment. It was I'm proud of myself moment, and it's okay for me to be proud. I don't have to pretend that, it's no big deal, because it is a big deal. Why? Because I said so, and that I wanted to make it feel, I wanted to enjoy all of the things and sacrifices that I had gone through. So that's like probably the most amazing thing that I've ever been a part of, such as going to the Olympics, because it's the pinnacle of our sport and athletics. And I feel like I've gone on to the following year, we got a silver medal at the World Championships and all that kind of stuff. So I've got gold, silver and bronze. But when I talk to people, it sounds amazing, but in reality, it has come with a lot of hardships. I have had 2 knee surgeries in left and right, 2 specifically in the left leg. I've had shoulder injuries, hamstring injuries, all those different things or major injuries that at any point I could have said, I don't want this. This is too much. This is too hard. Oh, it's just easier if I just stop now. And for me as a person, I always like to think you've only got one life to live. Whether I achieve those goals or not, I want to be able to leave this earth knowing that I gave it everything that I had. I left no stone unturned. I was doing the best that I could. And I feel like in any kind of industry, in any kind of place, if you've got that mentality, you're going to do incredible. You're going to do amazing. And not only that, you're going to think back and think, wow, maybe some of the goals and thoughts that I had before were quite small. Why can't I aim for the bigger thing? Oh my goodness, okay, no one looks like me in this industry. Well, why can't I be the first? Oh, the history is, there's never been a man in there. Well, why can't I be the first female? Or something like that. And I think it's all about just changing your mentality and just having that confidence to believe in yourself. Well, it can't come from anyone else. It can't come from sometimes friends and family, because they can say amazing things, but if you truly don't believe it, it's just going to fall on deaf ears. So I hope from today you've understood a little bit about me, my journey, and ultimately I believe in myself, and I want you guys to believe in yourselves too.
Oh, okay. Wow. I feel so inspired.
and I'm going to go run.
I did a marathon, I'll have you know.
I am impressed. She's already beaten
Over
me,
5 hours though, so not quick. Right, questions. We have 5 minutes for any question about Desiree's life, about what she experienced, anything that you want to ask. I would love to start it because Desiree does lots of talks, and you did a speech this weekend with children, and you said children always ask the best questions. And one of those were, who would be faster, you or a cheetah?
Exactly.
Please answer.
I had to give them the real, because the context, they were just like, oh yeah, the cheetah will be right next to you, and I said, is there a barrier between you and the cheetah? Oh no, the cheetahs are friendly, and I thought, in reality, I probably will be attacked. I'll be running for my life, and that cheetah will probably also be running for their food. So I was like, the cheetah will win. I'm gonna be honest with you.
But you said you'd beat a baby cheetah.
The baby cheetah, I did say that. Yeah, I think I'll be able to take on a baby cheetah.
If anybody has a cheetah that they would like to
Put this into motion.
let's test this. But you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to ask. So I spoke to an Olympic gold medalist today. She's a hockey player, and one of the things she said was after she won the medal, the weight of the success actually was really difficult to deal with, and actually was almost harder than training for winning.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that success?
I think it was just a case of, because I had got the bronze, it's a different mentality of there's room to improve. There's a place for me to, aim higher, get better. So I think for her, it must have been a case of, okay, well, I've done it. I am the best in this. How do I motivate myself? And then I think if I was to ever be in that situation, which would be amazing, it would be a case of, okay, well, how much faster can I go? And it's that whole thing of using your physical capability, using your mentality, knowing that, my sleep hasn't been so good. If I was to dedicate a year to improving my sleep, how would that now improve my life? So I think it's just like taking that time to have that deeper reflection of how can I improve my life in that sense. Yeah.
Who or did anyone in the right stage of why is that kind of 6 weeks a day that keeps you motivated?
I would say it's my mom, because she's the person that had told me it's your one life to live. Go and do with it as you must, and ultimately feel like even if you're having a bad day, it's okay. And I feel like, especially with my mom, there's like a sense of comfort knowing that if I was to ever turn around to her and say, I don't want to do this sport anymore, I know that she's not going to force me. It's just that comfort of, okay, well, what's the next thing? Like, let me help and support you that. Like, if you want to be an artist, go ahead. Let me start buying you some brushes and help support you in that dream. So I feel like, again, I'm just so fortunate to have my mum and parents in general like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was really like positive energy and everything. It's really
Love it.
My question was, obviously it's like years and years of consistent pattern of positive mental attitude. Obviously everyone has their bad days. Like, what are the kind of takeaways that you feel really kind of made you, say if you're having a bad day, pivot and turn it around, or just anything that I can take away and be as consistent in terms of positive?
I would say it's just being kind to myself. I'll be completely honest with you guys. This morning I was bawling my eyes out. I was crying. I was sad. I don't know if you ever feel like overwhelmed, especially when you've got different ideas, you've got different things going on, and it just kind of like shocked me early this morning, and I just cried. And then it's like, you look in the mirror and then you're seeing your eyes are puffy, and then it's just like, okay, this is a sad thing. And for me, I had training this morning, and so what I realized, what was important is for me to have that cry, make those, get my kind of mind right. I sent a message to my coach that I was going to be in a little bit later, but it was just allowing myself to be human and have bad days. And even if I have a bad day, it doesn't mean that I'm any less dedicated, I'm any less serious or anything like that. And I think just having moments to feel human, and I'm bringing up like nutrition and stuff like that, because even though I'm an athlete, I enjoy sweet stuff. I want people to have a healthy relationship.
You hate that we have a biscuit jar.
Yeah, that is hard, especially working here. But it's just sometimes do things to make you feel happy. Don't read online what another person has said. You know what I mean? Just make your own journey and just try and do things to make you feel good and be okay feeling vulnerable and sad sometimes. I hope that makes sense. Sorry.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest setback or challenge? Have you ever sort of felt like giving up? How did you overcome that?
I would say that my biggest setback was having surgery for the first time, because I'm an athlete. My physicality is what makes me who I am. And so I would say the day that I woke up from my surgery, because I had both knees done at the same time, I opted to just get it all done and out the way. It was a scary thing of, oh my goodness, my legs are bound up. I've now got a physio coming in saying, okay, we're going to teach you how to walk down the stairs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm so used to lifting 2 times my body weight, going at ridiculous speeds. It is that scary thing of, okay, can I do it? Is it going to be okay? But I think when you have those moments, even like that, I instantly snapped out of it, because I thought, I don't have time for this. Let me just try and set shorter goals, such as making sure that for the remainder of the day, I'm remaining positive, making sure that by the end of the week, I've completed 2 days of rehab or something like that, rather than thinking, oh, I need to get back out running crazy times. It's just that thing of, let me take it one step at a time, because those hours, those days, all that kind of stuff, it accumulates into something. It means that, oh my goodness, that means now I've had a successful week, I've had a successful month, turned into successful months, and then it's a year, and then before I knew it, I was back. So I just realized, setting shorter goals was my key for consistency.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Now we have the amazing Melanie Wells, who's a CRO at Caxton, coming up to speak around squiggly careers. And that's a thing. Has nobody read the book? But about her career and how she's taken the unconventional route to get to where she is today.
I mean, firstly, I feel like I've been set up for failure. Because, no, I absolutely have. Because how on earth do you follow an Olympic athlete with such energy in a bright red suit? Quite frankly, I can't, so don't expect the same thing. Like Izzy said, I think, mine is a very untraditional route to where I am today. So I hope that can give some people in the room some inspiration. I'm going to start with, I suppose, the informative years, as Desiree did as well. I'm going to talk to a midlife crisis, which hopefully, from the way that everyone looks around here, not many people have got to that stage of life yet, but I'll try and prepare you for it. And where I am today. Starting off similar to Desiree, I think that, family has a huge impact on you. And we spoke about belief and thoughts and mental attitudes. And that definitely came from my dad. He was in the army, so quite a tough upbringing. But I didn't have the luxury of having the support, I suppose, that Desiree had. My dad started in financial services. He was very clear on what I should do for a career, and I was an absolute rebel. So I just went about everything possible to not do what I was told. That led to some hardship down the line. But I do think that not everyone has it, right? No one has the ideal upbringing. But I think you have to take whatever you can from your upbringing and use it in the best way that's positive or negative. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do, which was be creative. So very different from being a CRO of a fintech that I am today. And I really was a rebel, and I really did everything in my power to follow a creative route. So mum and dad did get divorced when I was younger. That definitely had an impact on me. And I think the impact was all around financial independence. So I was lucky enough to have a great upbringing to the age of 15, but then saw my dad cheat on my mum. So then realised, okay, you need to have financial independence. You need to be able to earn your own shit, quite frankly. Because my mum ended up in a really bad position. So it was a really difficult time. I was never academic in the slightest, but I did absorb information and I was curious. And I went to a decent school. And then when I could, at the age of 16, because of what I'd seen as a child, I decided, well, I'm not going to stay and live with you. I'm going to go off and live with my mum, even though that lifestyle was quite different. And I fended for myself because my mum couldn't afford to pay the way of life that I'd had with my dad, but I was determined that I would do the right thing. I stand by my morals, and I wanted to support my mum, and I wanted to do my own thing. Remember, I am a rebel as well. So. And art was probably something that I was the most interested in, and sport, although clearly not an Olympic athlete. But yeah, I was really into netball, and I loved team sport, and I had a lot of friends, and I enjoyed school, but I was definitely not academic. I went to college, didn't really do a lot of college, if I'm honest, apart from Skive, but did some really nice like paintings of zebras that I remember quite clearly. I still remember them clearly. I was very upset that I didn't get an A for those. But anyway, so then I met my husband at 19, quite frankly. I know, nobody knew that. My parents didn't know that because I got married in secret. But anyway, so I met, basically I called him a Nigerian prince, but he wasn't a prince. I can see a few people laughing. His parents were on the Nigerian government, and he came over with his 8 brothers and sisters, and they all had fantastic educations, and I fell in love, truly fell in love, first boyfriend at 18, and I suppose he saw something in me. You know, at the time I was working in a bar, I was a bar supervisor, I had these big dreams of wanting to go to like fashion college, but because of my dad's background and financial status, I couldn't get any loans or anything else to go to university, and it was too costly. So he said, look, come to Leeds with me. I'm going to do my MBA in architecture, and I'll pay for you to go to do your foundation course. So I was like, okay. So we moved to Leeds. My mum was like, what on earth is going on here? But anyway, and I moved off to Leeds, and I started that journey. I actually started working at Harvey Nichols. And it was new in Leeds, and I started to do, retail. I was in retail. But I started to meet people, and I started to listen to them. And we had a bit of a conversation earlier. Honestly, the biggest gift is truly having an ability to listen to what people are saying, take in the information and not try to speak yourself, understand what the problem is. So this was, I want an outfit for a wedding, right? Which seems very, highbrow, or it's not really a big problem, but I took the time to really understand. Tell me your lifestyle, tell me who you are. I really wanted to understand, and I could pick up things from people. So I did fairly well in kind of styling people. I dropped out of, I got an unconditional to go to do my degree. I got married partly to fund that, but let's just not go down that route. And then I was supposed to go off to university, but then realised, what am I doing? I'm like 19, and this is my first ever boyfriend. And one of my best friends said she was a lesbian, and I was like, I've had one boyfriend, my best friend's a lesbian. I don't even know who I am. Like, what the hell am I doing in life? So it was like a realisation of like, oh my God, I've just like locked myself down. I'm 19. This is just not for me. And he was a little bit older, not much, like 25. And I was like, I'm really sorry, but I shouldn't be married, and I just need to run away. So I didn't go to university, and I went and slept on my lesbian friend's couch. We weren't a couple, not that is a thing, but and then I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? So then I was like, I'm going to move to Manchester. I'm not quite ready for London, but I know I definitely need to be in London at some point, so I'm going to move to Manchester. Started working at Karen Millen. Met Tara Tobin here, who's still a friend today and now works at Caxton. Relationships is a big thing as well, so don't forget that. And off I went. So ended up in London after a year in Manchester, moved to London because I always wanted my own business. So I'd come to London a fair amount when I was younger, really inspired by the diversity, by the energy, by the opportunity that London brings. And I'm from like a little hamlet on the outskirts of Hull in Yorkshire. So very different from where we are today. So got to London and had some personal diversity. Hadn't told my dad I was not even speaking to because I hadn't spoken to him for years. Had a fairly close relationship with my mum, but never really wanted to worry her. So I was like super independent. And look, I was speaking to a friend about this recently. I had a miscarriage on the upper floor of Karen Millen, and then had to go back to work like a week later, having basically bled all over the floor, so that wasn't easy. But I had diversity within all of this, right? I'd had some real traumas already at the young age of like 22. Didn't have a huge amount of support around me. Certainly didn't have finances. So I was independent, right? I'm working for Caramel and I'm earning my own money, but it wasn't a lot. And then it's female role models. So obviously you spoke about your mum, but it's like people will come into your life and you just have to be ready to be the best you and consistently keep pushing forward even through hard times. And I got serving a lady called Rebecca Hunt, and she was just a customer, and I helped her with an outfit, and I did what I always do, which is listen and understand and do a great job. And she said, you should really come work for me. I was like, where do you work? LVMH. I was like, oh, right, okay. Thinking, oh, great, LVMH. No, it was bloody Thomas Pink, wasn't it? Which is a shirt company. So not the most glamorous part of LVMH. But, at the time, it was great. It was premium. And I thought, actually, she sees something in me. Let me go. So I became one of the youngest managers in the LVMH group. And again, off I went, and I was trying to become just something more, quite frankly. I definitely had an urge to have my own business as well. So that kind of creative outlet I wanted. And I worked because I had to pay the bills. And then I randomly met another female out in a club. And she was a singer, she was a dancer, and she was all these great things, all the things that I really wasn't. And she was like, oh, yeah, you can come and style me. So I was like, oh, right, I'll style you. And I'll do a bit of like fashion here. And then I did a bit of hair and makeup. And then we set up a business together, which is what my entire drive had been to come to London in the first place. We got a Princess Trust loan, which gave us a little bit of a foundation. So I'm truly grateful to Princess Trust as well. And off we went. And we did some amazing things for 6 years. Merbo Awards, and this is about spotting opportunity. They offered us, do you want to sponsor us? Which basically means pay us to feature in your magazine. I was like, yeah, sure, let's come in and meet you. Well, by the time we'd finished that, we had run the entire event from a creative perspective. We'd done all the promotional work, we'd done all the images that you would see in all the promo stuff. We did all the hair and makeup backstage for all the artists. I mean, we ended up turning it into a really big revenue opportunity, and it gave us exposure to lots of different people. I don't know whether many of you are old enough, but Faith Shoes was quite a big thing on the high street. So we did it was our bread and butter fundamentally, because we would do all the lookbooks, we'd do everything. It gave us like a real staple, like a real stance in the industry. And then the recession hit. And then my best friend fell pregnant, and she was my business partner, and I was coming to 30, absolute midlife crisis. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I was supposed to be a millionaire, living in a mansion, married by this point, and this is not where I am, quite frankly. Really aspiring to a lot, but never really, honestly, when you looked at finances, I had zero, right? I did not earn my own home. I felt like I'd really lived an amazing life, but then I'm like, reality hits, like, what am I doing next? And I had a really difficult time because I had to go back into something. So I felt like I took a massive back step. And yet again, a female supporter saw something in me, and she gave me opportunities that she could really have taken herself. Like traveling the world, I became a brand ambassador. She picked me up to say, no, you go and do that. And that was life-changing. I traveled the world, I managed to save up the money to buy my own property, all of that good stuff. And then I was like, you know what, I hit a bit of a glass ceiling. I worked really hard. I was fired out of the blue by an American business. One day I was the golden child by the CEO, female CEO, smashing all my targets, getting the most bonus I could get, but did not want to take the salary increase that they gave me because they wanted me to go and travel Australia for 3 months. All my commission came from the UK. I was not going to be in the UK. So I just wanted a discussion on, actually, can we discuss this pay review? And I was expecting a call, and I had all my paperwork laid out, ready for this conversation. And this is 3.5 years of my life that I'd built up a business to be really successful. This is Hourglass Cosmetics, I'm going to say that. And I was told, we don't need you anymore. No reason, no nothing. I just bought a property, I'm single. And out of the blue, American business, which in America, I've got an American here, like it's very different laws to what it is in the UK. And yeah, so there you go. I was absolutely heartbroken, like devastated. It was like my baby had been taken away from me. I built the entire team. I'd been really successful. They told me I'd been successful, and then it was no longer. So that was a huge trauma to like get over that. But luckily, because of the work I'd done, people came to me and said, we want you to do the same for us. So I started working for a Parisian firm. The fact is I never really dealt with that trauma. So I worked myself into the ground. I'm talking, I had a mental breakdown. Like 2.5 years later, outside of Harrods, walked out of a buyer's meeting and I screamed at the CEO, who was the daughter of the owner of the business, and had a mental breakdown. I just hadn't dealt with all the trauma that came from being let go from a business. I'd reached a glass ceiling and I was like, enough is enough. Right? I need something different. I need new people. I don't need to be licking up to these annoying buyers, quite frankly. And I just wanted something different. I wanted more diversity, quite frankly, because it was very one type of person in that industry. And I thought, I've done enough here. I need to find something else. And that is when tech found me, quite frankly. And I moved to Mastered. And Mastered was pre-masterclass. It was a premium coaching online platform. But you could literally, it was a 360, you spent a year, it had live events, it had so much, I learned so much about management and coaching and self-development, and I could give all of my knowledge from a creative perspective into a global audience of people wanting to develop their careers. And also got heavily into tech sales and platform sales because I ran the sales team. But honestly, with a true heart, like I'm not your typical, I've always sold, I'm really revenue focused, and I'm all about opportunities, but I care about people and listening to people and doing the right thing for individuals. It's not hard sales. And that's very different, especially like 10 years ago. Like sales has had such a bad rep, right? But it's not anymore. Like it's super, it can be, well, I want to say inclusive is not the right word, but it's definitely, there's opportunities in that space if you approach it in the right way. And technology, what you get with that is a really diverse crowd. Right? Really interesting people working in lots of different departments rather than just like the one type of person that I was used to dealing with. So huge amounts of growth. Went from there into Paid Dashboard, which was a very small startup fintech, but was acquired by Experian. So I was part of the senior team to drive that to acquisition. Which was an accolade in itself, and I'd met Caxton because Caxton were a client and a partner. So all of these things are relationship focused, right? It's all about the way you treat people, the way you listen to people, the way you develop people that I've worked with in the past. It's all about that. And you can have a commercial view, but just be a good person as well. So I suppose, why am I here today? I hate this. When Izzy said to me, so do you want to speak? I was like, yeah, as long as it's like fireside chat, as long as we're sat around, it's conversational, it's engaging, it's like, so no, it's 15 minutes of you sat talking to people. I'm like, okay, that's absolutely what I hate doing. I'm not the most confident of people to stand up and just talk about me or to sell something or stand with a presentation. Like, that's not for me. But I've got a 4.5-year-old daughter. That's a whole nother story. Husband cheated on me. I found out at 7 weeks. The entire relationship was an absolute shit show. But that is a whole nother story we can talk about over Prosecco. Also got made redundant as well at the same time, whilst having a 7 anyway. So there's lots of highs and lows, right? But it's how you pick yourself up. It's your attitude, it's your thoughts. Honestly, even the worst things that happen to you in life, and trust me, I've been through quite a few of them, it's the way you deal with it. It's the way you think about it. It's the way you get up, you reset, and you start moving forward again. So, as I say, 4.5-year-old daughter, lots of, well, not enough women in fintech, but a lot of women in Caxton. And I was like, hang on a minute, there's something in this. Why in tech? And I've also been very focused in professional services and accounting. Very few women, like senior leaders. And I've got a friend who works heavily in recruitment. She's like, Melanie, you really need to find your voice, right? You really need to start like telling your story. I'm like, oh God, you know me. I didn't even like having my own business because I didn't like selling me and what I could do. It's like, you've got to understand the power in it. So honestly, like, I kind of black out. You said about blacking out running. I'm like, I kind of black out at times. I'm like, what am I even saying? Because I don't particularly enjoy this. But if I could have inspired anyone through like some hardship to pick themselves back up and to keep going, then hopefully I've done a decent job.
Back yourself when you got up in here and said, how can I follow Desiree? Because that was incredible. And honestly, but I feel so inspired. Like, everybody has a story, everybody has a journey, and there's so much inspiration that I've taken away from what your journey has been. And it sounds like you've been through so many incredible highs, but also some really shit lows, and like, but your resilience and like how you picked yourself back up. And just, I think so many women tonight can take a lot of that as inspiration for taking into their own lives. So thank you.
Thank you.
Couple of questions, if anybody. Ellie, straight up, absolutely love it.
That was amazing, honestly.
Oh, bless
I
you.
really needed to hear that, so thank you. One of my questions is, how do you deal with negative people surrounding you and that influence that they can have on you?
You can't take it in. I mean, you literally have to remove yourself from those scenarios. And in a work scenario, clearly negativity is difficult to get away from. I'm a very friendly person, and I really like people. And over the years, I have surrounding myself with a lot of the wrong people because I'm very giving and people take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. So I've learned that lesson certainly when I had to leave London, and that was another story that I've not said about. Again, we'll talk about that, but so many. But fundamentally, you have to surround yourself with people that are positive, that lift you up, and that you aspire to be as well, because otherwise they're like drains and they suck the life out of you, and you do not accomplish what you need to do to be the best you. So you have to remove yourself, and you have to realise it, and that's all I would say. And don't give your time to it, quite frankly.
How do you go about removing yourself?
You need to give me more context.
So let's say you're surrounded by negative people.
In a what scenario?
So like either like a friend, a family, or a work scenario. How do you remove yourself without?
Friends, you get rid of the friends, quite frankly. Hey, I mean, no, you literally do. Like, you have to evaluate your life. No, you have to evaluate your life because they take so much time and resource and energy that you can't afford to give that to them, right? And it's more difficult if it's family, but there's an awareness. And actually, if they're not positive influences in your life, then again, you have to pick your times and you have to almost close your ears and you have to tell them about themselves. I know my mum went through a real time of it, and I had to tell her about herself. Honestly, said, you're really unhappy, you're so negative, like, what's the point of me even spending time with you? Like, what can we do to fix that? I'm a real problem solver. So I basically gave her a diet, and and it was part of the problem. No, but it was part of the problem. Like, honestly, you've got to get to the crux, and I am quite straight talking, but you have to self-preserve. Honestly, there's a self-preservation piece, and that negative, you have to cut it out.
But I also think, to that point, like, you speaking to your mum like that shows that you care and you love her. Like, it comes from a good place and good intention.
And how can you support that, right? It's not like, I'm cutting you off, mum, because you're moaning. But, I'm trying to find a solution, and I'll help you work towards that. I'll get you the app, I'll check in on you, I'll do these things to help you. Friends,
Yes. Jenny, do you want to go?
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. I spoke about really amazing highs. What tools and techniques did you use to get through the lows? Because you've gone through quite a roller coaster, but you've managed to pull through every time. So what tools and techniques would you give other women to kind of go through the lows to take back to?
You have to reflect. Like, you have to really take the time to look at where you are, why you're there, what happened. And then I've never been one for medication. Like, when I was in a real low, especially after there's been a couple of times, and you go to the doctor, right, because you want to seek help. And for me, that talking therapy, definitely, I've had various different counsellors for different things. Talking is huge. So yes, if you've got friends to talk to, great, but actually someone professional to talk to. We used to have at work this thing called Perks, and it had like the ability to have 6 sessions with someone. There was half-an-hour sessions. I've had a business coach. I've had lots of different things to support me. You've got to help yourself because no one else is going to, quite frankly. So do your reading, listen to your, I don't read, listen to podcasts for me. I mean, my attention span does not, I can't, read more than 2 pages. So I listen to podcasts and I look at how can I make me better? And you'll be all over this. Health, not drinking water. I had to learn how to breathe again. I was so short of breath and so anxious. It's like, okay, walking and running helped me to breathe. So I just focused on me and doing all the normal stuff with some support from friends and family. But yeah, that's what I.
I like that answer.
Yeah, I think just off the back of that, so you're quite a verbal processor, which I do myself when I talk about things, whether it's good or bad. But I was wondering, like, you're in like a CRO position and you're sort of in that exec space, when you're having a hard time at work or need to chat about something, how do you deal with that when you're not so much in the team?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely learnt my lesson because I am a bit of a chat box. And you have to learn where to vent, whether you know, there's a peer, you have to realise who your peers are and whether they're trustworthy, and there's a peer piece. You shouldn't really be moaning upwards and you certainly shouldn't be moaning downwards. And you have to find that right space. Definitely having good friends around you, having people, I mean, Kat and I have recently met, we both spoke on a panel, but you know, it's having someone outside of a workspace that is on a level that understands where you can vent, so doing some of that. And my partner is, you know, he's very brilliant in what he does as a career, so part of the reason we're together, quite frankly, is because we can talk about work. So yeah, I think you've got to find the right people at the right time to speak to. Otherwise, too much comes out at the right time.
Amazing. Well, I think to give everybody time to do some public speaking, that probably is enough. But if you have any questions, Prosecco, Melanie will be at the bar.
Lots more stories to tell you.
Thank you.